Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. The dragon Qin followed the river upstream for 6,000 miles. Qin Mu raised his head to take a look at that time. The sky was already getting dark, so he immediately surveyed his surroundings to look for a place he could settle. On the geological map of Great Ruins, there should be a place called Monster Management Palace. Maybe it's a place where I can seek shelter. Qin Mu recalled the geological map of Great Ruins and found his bearings. Suddenly, his eyes lighted up, and he ordered the dragon Qin to go ashore. Not long later, they found the ruins of a palace, with some strange beasts already hiding there. Qin Mu entered the ruins of Monster Management Palace and saw many skeletons of huge beasts all around. They were very quiet, not moving even when he entered. Qin Mu raised his head to size them up. The skeleton of the huge beasts in Monster Management Palace was simply too humongous. They were dozens of times bigger than the dragon Qilin's transformation. If they were still alive, they would be 3,000 yards tall and be like moving mountains. Not long later, a couple Taoists came to the ruins, who were probably experts who had come into Great Ruins for experience. When they saw Qin Mu, they revealed astonishment, but they remained silent, setting their own fire to cook their meals. Qin Mu cooked up a few dishes and ate dinner before lying down beside the dragon Qilin to sleep. The couple Taoists looked at one another but remained silent. They wrote words on the ground, and as they did that, the ground suddenly trembled. Bellows came from outside, and obscure and hard-to-understand voices spoke from the darkness, sounding like devil gods whispering to each other. Qin Mu sat up and saw the skeletons of the huge beasts suddenly shine brilliantly with divine light. The tremors of the ground grew more and more violent, and he saw the huge beasts suddenly raising their legs from the ground. These skeletons seemed to have come alive, for they walked out of the ruins. World-shaking roars came from outside, and there was divine light shining over through the darkness once in a while. Through these divine lights, those inside could see that the huge beasts had actually grown flesh and transformed into beast gods that were fighting with the devil monsters in the darkness. The Taoists were bewildered, and Qin Devil King was also shocked. Qin Mu wasn't surprised by these strange sights and lay back down again. He then said in a low voice, "Qin, stop looking, I've seen weirder things." Qin Devil King said quietly, "Those Taoists are slightly weird." Qin Mu was unconcerned. "I know. One of them is Long Jiaonan." After a moment, he began snoring, and Qin Devil King could only restrain himself from making a move. The battle outside the ruins lasted the whole night. When dawn came, the ground trembled as the indomitable divine beasts returned back to the ruins. Once they sprawled onto the ground, their flesh vanished. They turned into the skeletons that lay half buried in the soil, which was exactly how Qin Mu had seen them when he entered. The darkness retreated back like the flood, and sunlight shone down from the sky. The other strange beasts moved out from the ruins and dispersed in all directions. Qin Mu made fire again to cook breakfast while the other Taoists did the same as well. All of them did not say a word and ate their own breakfast. The dragon Qilin took out the wash basin from disabled elderly village which he had somehow hidden for this long and placed it in front of Qin Mu to wait for his food. Qin Mu poured half a bucket of scarlet fire spirit pills and took out another wash basin, pouring half of it with Jade Dragon Lake's water. The dragon Qilin ate to his fulfillment, and they set off. The Taoists looked at one another, then extinguished the fire and followed closely behind Qin Mu. He stopped at that moment and turned around with a smile. "Is there anything I can help senior brothers with?" One of the Taoists retorted, "Great Ruins are so huge, is this your home? We'll go our way and you will go yours, no one is interfering with you." Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. They went back on the path they had come from, and when Qin Mu saw that empty village again, he walked into the room that had pasted the "Shi" word and picked up that baby clothes that had the "Qin" word sewed on it. The more he cared, the more flustered he became. When he had come here the first time, He was deeply affected and couldn't keep calm for a long time, therefore he couldn't see any of the tiny clues. The Qin word on these items that apothecary had brought out was nearly the same as the one of that baby clothing. They looked like they came from the same template, but if one examined carefully, there was still some difference. Qin Mu had learned calligraphy from death before, and if he could calm his heart down to look at it with an ordinary state of mind, he could also see that the Qin word on the baby clothing was different from the Qin word on his jade pendant. However, his emotions were out of control then, which had influenced his judgment. Now that he had examined carefully, the Qin word on this baby clothing should have been traced out before sewing thread by thread onto the clothing. The Qin word was indeed different from the one on his jade pendant. The other people in the village surrounded village chief and patriarch to ask them about their encounters and what they had seen on that ship. Village chief shook his head. It was too dangerous inside and we didn't delve deeper. We only circled around the outskirts and had almost died. Luckily, Mute was here, therefore, we could safely retreat. Everyone immediately asked Mute how he knew about that safe path and managed to bring village chief, patriarch, and the rest in and out. Qin Mu walked out of the courtyard and he had the same suspicions as well. Even Duqian Devil King said he would take 1 to 2 years' time to find a safe path into that ruined ship if his true body descended, so why did Mute manage to barge in so easily? Everyone kept asking him for a long time and Mute didn't say anything. He only revealed an honest smile and gave 2 hours when he got anxious from the pressing questions. Everyone immediately looked at Deaf. Deaf and Mute were the closest buddies and Deaf knew Mute's intention the best. Deaf was always the one translating when everyone didn't understand what Mute meant. However, Deaf was at a loss this time. It was obvious he didn't know what Mute was saying as well. This Mute don't want to say anything. Granny Sai said angrily, "You'll stifle to death sooner or later." Everyone rest in this small village while that dragon Chelin stuck close to the young patriarch. Now, this dragon Chelin was full of energy and rubbing himself around patriarch. Patriarch struck a posture wanting to beat him, which managed to chase him further away. However, he would come back in the next moment and raised his dragon tail as he rubbed against the young patriarch's clothes, which were now filled with holes made by him. "You're getting too fat," the young patriarch said bitterly. "I had already said I'm going to die of old age. I'm abandoning you. Stop rubbing yourself on me. Don't think of jumping into my arms. I can't carry you now. Shoo shoo, go away." On the other hand, Blind was annoying Duqian Devil King about some questions regarding algebra. Duqian Devil King was slightly fearful of the people in the village, therefore, he also tried his best to answer his questions. However, he only answered Blind's questions and didn't offer to impart more profound algebra to him. Apothecary hurried from person to person to check on their injuries and treating them. Qin Mu walked into that house. Even though this might not be the house of his parents, this place made him feel at peace. Mute also walked in and looked around. His rough hands caressed that small wooden horse and picked up that piece of clothing. This thick and solid man had a very gentle gaze. Qin Mu looked towards him and Mute turned his head to give him a grin. "It's time to go." Granny Sai hurried, "Go back to the village to celebrate New Year's Day. Patriarch, that plump pig that you had raised can finally be slaughtered to eat. Butcher is skillful at that and can still whip up a few good dishes, just enough for 2 tables. You dare." The young patriarch was nervous and shouted, "Don't think about touching him. Ever since you were young you were already sneaking crafty glances at my dragon Chelin, always wanting to eat him. Go away, stop rubbing against me, I'm not going to pat you." Elder of Discipline, drag him away. Elder of Discipline chased the dragon Chelin over to Qin Mu. The young patriarch looked over and saw the dragon Chelin moving its buttocks to walk to Qin Mu. He was so fat that his buttocks were as round as a ball. He was as fleshy as rhinoceros, and every time he took a step, his round buttocks would jiggle uncontrollably. This fellow must have been cadging meals from the cult master, and his meals aren't bad as well. When I met him back then, he was small like a cat and rubbed himself against my leg to cheat food out from me. He ended up becoming fatter and fatter from me feeding him and glued himself to me. The young patriarch sighed. The dragon Chelin then was so small and he could even embrace him and caress his head. What a huge ship! Everyone came to the front of Moon's ship and couldn't help being astonished. Cripple planned to steal this ship away and got scolded by Granny Sai. Damned Cripple, even if you can steal it, where are you going to park it? I'll break your leg if you place it in the village. Cripple could only drop his thoughts. He asked Qin Mu how he had managed to drive this ship here, and after hearing Qin Mu's encounter of driving the ship, Cripple's thoughts sprung into action again, attaining the mighty strength of Heavenly God after becoming the Moon Guardian. He quickly ran to touch the giant pillar on the ship, but when he found that there was no transformation, he could only return. There were too many unsolved mysteries in Great Ruins, and Moon's ship was just one of them. When they walked out of that formless barrier, the sun was already hanging high up in the sky. It was noon, but the weather was still very cold as snow had fallen some time ago and the land had a brilliant snow-white cover. The mountain ranges were also dyed in white and they gave off crunching sounds as they walked in the snow. There were a few bears hiding in the hollow tree in the ruins, and the mother bear was embracing the baby bears while sleeping soundly. When that mother bear saw Qin Mu and the rest suddenly appearing, she opened her eyes in astonishment but was so lazy that she didn't move. She only nudged her body before going back into hibernation. Qin Mu looked back and saw the barrier vanishing. That unimaginable huge ship that was sealed inside, Moon's ship, as well as the incomparably complicated cube seal, had all vanished. What replaced it was a vast forest. Only when the night fell would this mysterious seal appear once again. Let's go, let's return to the village for New Year, village chief said calmly. Everyone began to return, and this place was very far from disabled elderly village. The journey would still take 1 to 2 days, but it was a good thing that everyone was safe. The second evening, they had finally returned back to disabled elderly village. Qin Mu, Granny Sai, and Old Ma started to get busy decorating the village and preparing New Year's Day dinner. Qin Mu brought red paper over for Def to write the auspicious words and Spring Festival couplets. He then called Qin Mu over to let him paste them on everyone's door. Paste it on the chicken coop also. As well as that ancient tree in front of the village, paste one there to invite prosperity in. Granny Sai instructed. Everyone worked hard for quite some time, and finally, everyone in the village could sit down to eat and drink fine wine together in cheers and laughter. The young patriarch and elder of discipline also sat down and joined them in the hearty New Year's Day dinner that had come late. Early next morning, the young patriarch and elder of discipline bade farewell. There are still countless mysterious in Great Ruins, and it would be pleasant to search and take a look at them before I die. Fellow Dao friends, there's no need to send me off. When he was done, the young and the old left towards the distance while stepping through the thick snow. Jutian Devil King looked at Qin Mu and said, Devil Cult Master, it's time to keep your promise. Qin Mu said with a firm look, Devil King, don't worry. I'll keep my promise and release you. Blind and Cripple came forward, and Jutian Devil King became extremely nervous before shouting, Devil Cult Master, are you thinking of letting them capture me again after releasing me? How dare you? Qin Mu was a little embarrassed and shook his head at Cripple and Blind. Cripple muttered, this fellow is a good helper, and if I can make him stay, I can steal even more stuff. Qin Mu said warmly, Devil King, don't worry. I shall remove these sealing runes on your body and you'll be able to regain your freedom. He undid the sealing runes on Jutian Devil King's body one by one, and only then did Jutian Devil King become at ease. Little buddy Qin, Jutian, and here are two different worlds. After we part today, we may never meet each other again. After all, the life of you mortal are short, and your lifespan is merely a flick of a finger to us, over in an instant. Maybe when I think of you again, you have already died thousands of years earlier. This is actually quite sad now I mention about it. Qin Mu smiled, Devil King, I can also contact you frequently. I still know Ghost Transferring God Dispatching Runes command from Great Mountain Sect. Jutian Devil King laughed loudly, your world is too dangerous, and even if you summon me over, I won't come. After I go back, I'll be looking for a new world for my people to survive. Qin Mu undid the last of the seal and said, Devil King, you can return now. Jutian Devil King gave a try and discovered that there was really no seal before becoming fully at ease. Let us never meet again. Once he said that, his consciousness tunneled into the void and vanished. Qin Mu raised his head and smiled, who can tell what will happen in the future? Duqian Devil King's consciousness returned to Duqian world and went back into his original body. That majestic Duqian Devil King immediately knew what this consciousness had encountered and was greatly shaken. Letting out a murky breath, he thought to himself, a dangerous world that is being monitored by gods, it's indeed not a dwelling place for my Duqian citizens. Looks like it's time to find a new world. Mua, come over. Village chief called out. Qin Mu hurried over and village chief hesitated for a moment. I pondered for quite some time, but there is still something I have to tell you. Other than the numerous Qin word I have found on that ship, I had also found something else. Apothecary, bring that thing over. Apothecary hesitated. Is it suitable to give it to him now? Village chief shook his head. I don't have much long to live, and if I don't give it to him, when should I give it to him? Apothecary took out a mirror and handed it over to Qin Mu. Qin Mu took over the mirror and didn't find anything unusual about it. Village chief said, inside this mirror is a geographical map which leads to Carefree Village. We have found this on that ship. You can stop examining it. This mirror has been sealed by me. Only when you can break my seal, you can see the route in this mirror. That place is too dangerous and I don't want to let you go there now. Qin Mu was silent. Suddenly, he knelt down and kowtowed to village chief. Village chief immediately said, get up. There's one more thing. Suddenly I feel that there are quite a number of weights on your shoulder, the young cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult, the orphan of Carefree Village. Maybe it won't be much if you take on my responsibility as well. Today, I shall take you in as my disciple and hand over my responsibility to you. From today onwards, you will be the next generation's Human Emperor. The next generation's Human Emperor? Qin Mu was bewildered. This title was slightly weird. There was obviously an emperor in this world as well as cult and sect masters of all the various big sects. Everything was being managed and governed, so what would the Human Emperor do? There seemed to be no free space in this world that the Human Emperor could rule. Human Emperor is not high above, and he doesn't have any power, only responsibility, village chief explained. Human Emperor is not a position from which you will rule over all living things, nor will it let you give you supremacy to recklessly wage wars to kill those that don't submit to you. Human Emperor is a state of mind, kind of righteousness and justice. Every Human Emperor has a treasured seal which has been handed down since the first generation Human Emperor. I've thrown it under the bed, so go and fetch it. Qin Mu went to village chief's room, and there was indeed a black lump under the bed. Once he took it out, he saw that it was a palm-sized black iron seal and with birdworm seal script carved onto it. Qin Mu passed the black iron seal to village chief, who said, "This is the Human Emperor's seal, the supreme sacred artifact of our bloodline." Qin Mu looked at the seal and mumbled, "Village chief, does our bloodline have any other sacred artifacts?" Angered, village chief smashed the Human Emperor's seal onto Qin Mu's head, causing a big swelling on his forehead. This iron lump was then placed into Qin Mu's hands. Village chief said, "The Human Emperor's seal has been passed to you, so you are now the next generation's Human Emperor." So simple. Qin Mu was stunned. Apothecary was also shocked. Village chief had always said that his responsibility was too huge, his burden was too heavy, and the title of Human Emperor was too powerful and shocking. Because of that, he always thought that a grand ceremony would have to be held for Qin Mu to inherit the position of Human Emperor. Never did he expect village chief to just throw a black lump at Qin Mu and be done. There are not many who know about the title of Human Emperor anymore. We are not a sect, nor are we emperors of a country, it's just an inheritance. It's passed down from generation to generation, so there will only be one in each generation, and usually the smartest person with the best comprehension will be found to inherit the title. The smartest one in this generation is Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, but I don't think he would be interested. He has also already gone down his own path, so it would be hard for him to accept my inheritance and responsibility. Village chief sighed. I'm also too lazy to go out, so after thinking for quite some I decided that you barely make the cut. Qin Mu consoled, "Village chief, don't force yourself, I think you can still find someone better." Apothecary had a weird expression while village chief almost died from holding back. The brat was obviously finding it troublesome. and since there were no benefits, he really wasn't willing. Your guts have grown quite a lot since you went out, how dare you be sarcastic? Village chief sneered. Are you going to be the human emperor or not? Qin Mu begrudgingly said, sure, just give me all the dirty work. There's already plenty of it I have to do, so an extra human emperor won't make a difference. Village chief was speechless from anger. He wished he could grow out an arm just to knock the youth on the head as he scolded, countless people begged me to teach them my sword techniques, but I didn't teach them. They begged me to leave behind my inheritance to them, but I didn't give it to them. How dare you reject it like that? Qin Mu lowered his head and kicked away a pebble as he said resentfully, I'm not rejecting, it's just that this title doesn't have any use. Village chief, why don't you just teach me your sword skills and pass this title of human emperor to someone else? Village chief smiled with anger and looked at Apothecary. You say, is he rejecting it or not? Is it that embarrassing to be the human emperor? You're getting more and more ballsy. Apothecary coughed and said, you two shall slowly talk this out, I will go take a look at my worms so that they don't freeze to death. Village chief was filled with anger, but then he suddenly came to the realization and broke out laughing. Other people begged me to teach them, but I didn't, and now you're making me change my way to beg you to learn, is that right? You're becoming more and more mischievous. Honestly, you're really not fit to be the human emperor. I'm just really too lazy to go out, else I would definitely find an even more outstanding youth than you. Qin Mu muttered softly with a pout, I have an overlord body, who can be better than me? Village chief almost choked to death. Qin Mu immediately went forward to massage the old man's back, and village chief regained his breath. So when Qin Mu was about to say something, the old man said, stop talking and let me relax, it's too much for my brain to handle. The corners of the old man's eyes twitched. As the initiator of the lie, he had finally received his comeuppance. After some time, he managed to recompose himself. It had been just a white lie which everyone took for a truth, for which he felt secretly proud since everyone believed in it. Yet now he had chosen Qin Mu as his successor, so could he have also come to believe that the youth had an overlord body? Too many lies make me have no choice but to believe them even when I clearly know they are not the truth. Oh well, oh well. Village chief relaxed and smiled. We, as the human emperors, only have one responsibility. Light burst forth from his eyes as though countless sword lights were coming, dazzling Qin Mu's eyes, to cut down gods, devils, and heaven itself. What belongs to the gods is managed by gods, what belongs to the devils is managed by devils, what belongs to the humans is managed by humans. If gods or devils dabble with this, we'll cut off their hands. If gods or devils stick their necks out, we'll cut off their heads. This is the most basic responsibility of the human emperor. When you get stronger, you will have even more responsibilities. To cut down gods, to cut down devils, to cut down heaven. Slay your way up to heaven. Come back. Qin Mu threw the human emperor's seal back into village chief's hand and turned around to walk away. Village chief blew up, and his vital chi transformed into a huge hand to grab him back by his collar. With a pleasant countenance, he said, you are the human emperor of this generation, so how can you not know the aim of our bloodline? I haven't finished, still trying to run? Apothecary, help me grab him. Apothecary didn't come, but Qin Mu still couldn't break free and was forced to give up. Village chief continued, there aren't many rules for our bloodline bearers, and the aims are only these. I will impart my sword skills to you, but how much you will be able to comprehend will be up to you. That's right, we also have the Hall of Human Emperors, so you can drop by when you are free to witness the meritorious exploits of the past human emperors. Also, even if my sword skills are not bad, but if a god or devil saw you using them, they will definitely make a move to kill you. Stop running, you can't escape my grasp. I didn't run back then and succeeded this inheritance without thinking it through. Granny, save me. Qin Mu called out for help. Granny Sai was full of smiles as she told Blind beside her, village chief, that old fellow is finally willing to teach Mua his legacy. Look, Mua is so happy that's he going to cry. Blind turned his head and said in suspicion, I heard him calling for help. He's elated. Granny Sai beamed. Village Chief's legacy has made countless people envious. He was the #1 man in the world back then, the famous sword god, so Mu is naturally speaking incoherently from being overjoyed. Qin Mu simply couldn't break free, so he had to accept his fate and throw the human emperor's seal into his Daotai sack. Village Chief was very pleased. You have already learned the first move of sword picture, sword treading mountains and rivers, now show me if you improved any after this while. Qin Mu acknowledged this and executed sword treading mountains and rivers. His execution was different from what Village Chief had taught him, since he had incorporated Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's spiral sword form, drill sword form, and swim sword form into it and added numerous variations. After executing the move, Qin Mu retracted his sword chi back and looked at Village Chief nervously. Village Chief was astonished and seemed to be thinking as he said, "This is the basic sword form Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor taught you?" Qin Mu nodded. "Village Chief, I changed the sword treading mountains and rivers that you taught me, disrespecting you. Do you want to fire me and find another human emperor?" Not bad, Village Chief praised. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor is not bad, to be able to be original and create new moves on top of the 14 basic sword forms. He is indeed more suitable to be the human emperor. However, you aren't bad as well, to not stick by the rules and even dare to execute the sword-treading mountains and rivers you changed in front of me. Very well, very well. Your vital chi thread has also changed. Did you use spiral sword form to refine your chi into a thread? Qin Mu nodded. Village Chief said, I shall use my 5 elements realms cultivation while you will use your new sword-treading mountains and rivers, and we will exchange a blow. Qin Mu's eyes lighted up and he smiled. Village Chief, if I defeat you with my move, can I not be the human emperor? Village Chief revealed a smile and refined his chi into a sword while saying leisurely, all right. If you can defeat me, I'll bring the human emperor's seal to the grave. Qin Mu took a deep breath, and his body suddenly changed. He transformed into the form of Venus Sovereign that had the head of a white tiger and stood on 2 dragons. His vital chi transformed into gold chi, and he gathered his chi into a sword whose sword lights instantly exploded forth. Sword treading mountains and rivers. Under his sword, the mountains and rivers appeared like a painting being unscrolled to cover the entire village, sending Village Chief inside it. Not only had he incorporated Imperial Preceptor's basic sword form, he had also incorporated the path of painting that Death had taught him. With thousands of mountains and rivers bombarding the opponent's face, it was as if the attack was a real world. This kind of profound sword skill could no longer be described as a sword skill. It was a path, the path of a sword. His sword-treading mountains and rivers unleashed its full power, and at that moment, Village Chief's sword light flickered. It was sword-treading mountains and rivers as well, so it was like 2 worlds colliding with each other. No sword light could be seen as a terrifying power burst forth. Kai, 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 Kai. Dozens of blood lights appeared around Qin Mu's body as he got injured in numerous places and flew backward. When he crashed into the wall of Butcher's shop, sword lights appeared and carved a pattern of mountains and rivers around him. These were the traces left behind by Village Chief's sword lights. Boom! The wall of the smithy gained the imprint of a human, and around it was the pattern of mountains and rivers. This pattern was poles apart from the pattern on the other walls. Every time Village Chief made a move, the patterns of the mountains and rivers were different. Newt popped his head out from the smithy and took a look at Qin Mu before laughing silently. Qin Mu's face turned black as he applied the medicine before continuing to rack his brains. Getting rid of all the weakness in his move, he improved the sword skill. Once more. A human figure flew through majestic mountains and rivers before crashing into Death's wall. Qin Mu smashed into walls time again and again, and pictures of mountains and rivers appeared in almost every wall in disabled elderly village. Only Granny Sai's house was not imprinted. Qin Mu wanted to rush over once more when he realized that his vital chi was depleted. He couldn't help but feel stunned by this. Defeated. Overlord body was defeated. It had suffered a crushing defeat. Not only was his sword techniques not on par with those of Village Chief, even the density of his vital chi could not be compared to that of Village Chief. It looked like he could only take over the title of Human Emperor. Village chief said gently, you can wait for your vital chi to recover before coming again. Qin Mu composed himself, okay. Village chief's expression darkened as he saw the cowherd boy sprinting away to cultivate his weird overlord body 3 elixir technique. You cheated, Apothecary said as he came over once he saw Qin Mu's figure disappearing into the distance. Village chief was stunned. Did I? Apothecary sneered. Your sword skills exhaust an extreme amount of vital chi, and with the density of your cultivation, you can execute them twice in 5 elements realm, 3 times at most. How many times have you executed them just now? About 7 times, right? Village chief couldn't keep a straight face and muttered, the density of my vital chi is not as you imagine. If I control it and use the lowest amount possible, I can execute my skills 4 times. However, Mua's vital chi is indeed dense. I thought Mai and his vital chi reserves in 5 elements realm wouldn't be too different, but to my surprise. Apothecary laughed. To your surprise, here's a huge cauldron and you're only a barrel. Village chief sighed and shook his head. His chi is several times denser than mine in spirit embryo realm, but it's not possible for it to be so much denser than mine in 5 elements realm. I had no shortcomings in my 5 elements realm, but he also has no shortcomings. You noticed it too, but didn't say it out. Apothecary smiled. He already lost to you with the same sword skill, so why do I need to say anything? However, earlier you said that the title of Human Emperor only has responsibilities and burdens but no benefits, isn't that false? Village chief said lazily, what benefits does it have? How come I don't know them? Apothecary's eyes flickered over. I heard some legends about human emperors and their seal. Human emperor's seal is related to many ancient inheritances and some of them can be traced all the way back to tens of thousands of years ago. Some sacred grounds were founded by human emperors, and I've heard that the human emperor's seal is even more useful than the emperor's jade seal. Village chief said indifferently, that's a legend from God knows how many years ago, and the human emperor's seal is merely a black iron lump. Who would listen to a black iron lump? Apothecary smiled. Legend says that once the human emperor's seal is used, one can command all the heroes of this world. Village chief yawned and said lazily, human emperor's seal is with Mua. You can let him take it out and show it off, see which sect will be willing to hear his command. It'll be lucky if he won't be beaten to death. Apothecary said resentfully, you clearly knew it was this dangerous, so why did you pass the human emperor's seal to him? Village chief was no longer lazy and a sword light flashed across his eyes as he said solemnly, this is a responsibility and also a burden. When this burden was placed on my shoulders, I couldn't carry it so my limbs were severed. However, someone must carry this burden, I can't take into the grave with me. Some things must be done even if it's clearly known that they are dangerous. Village chief let out a shaky breath and said, if something is done, there's a possibility of failure and even death, but there's also a slither of hope. If nothing is done, there won't even be a slither of hope. What the past human emperors did is much more than what you can imagine. Mua is pretty good. Apothecary said in sorrow, I only feel pain for Mua to be pulled into your old path. How can he win against you? He can't win. Village chief's tone had a hint of pride when he said, he will never win against me using sword treading mountains and rivers. This skill may be formed by the 14 basic sword forms, but after me polishing it, there's already no flaw in it. When he wanted to incorporate the 3 basic sword forms of Imperial Preceptor into my sword skill, he had to make some changes. Even though his ideas were good, his horizons aren't as broad as mine. A single change will create a flaw, and the more he changes, the more flaws will appear. Apothecary was dumbfounded. He let out a shaky breath and looked at Qin Mu who was currently sprinting and felt pity. However, he can borrow my hand to polish his sword skill. Village chief smiled. The more he changes the sword treading mountains and rivers, the more he will understand the sword. The more he understands, the more likely he will be to step away from sword techniques, step away from sword skills and come closer to the path. If his understanding of the sword reaches the level of the path, it will no longer matter if there are 14 or 17 basic sword forms. Learning sword skills and using sword skills is only the realm of technique, it's learning and using something. If one wants to go higher, they will have to innovate, which is where Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor is on right now. To go one step further, one would have to abandon skill and technique, which is the realm of path. Village Chief said, Mua is currently between technique and skill. For him to use my hand to polish his sword skill is much better than for him to improve by me teaching him sword skills. After some time, Qin Mu's cultivation recovered to its peak, but he didn't find Village Chief straight away. Instead, he sat down and comprehended quietly. He tried to perfect his own sword treading mountains and rivers so that there was no flaw. What he wanted to do was to incorporate Imperial Preceptor's 3 basic sword forms into sword treading mountains and rivers and not leave any flaw. He definitely couldn't defeat Village Chief using Village Chief's skills, but if he improved on them, there was a chance he might win. He comprehended diligently, and all the sword moves in his mind were messed up before they were reorganized again. He then simulated an image of clashing with Village Chief's sword skill in his mind. However, every clash ended in a defeat. This video will end here.